Hello everyone watching this video. My name is David Heath, and today marks the 15th anniversary of the Arkham Asylum video game. And to do this, I decided to look back on the game, everything it did wrong, everything it did right, and everything in between, with somebody who is about as appreciative of this game as I am. Please welcome ClownPuncher139.
How to do, everyone? I am ClownPuncher139. You may or may not know me. I certainly hope you do if you're watching this video. But, yeah, I was called here, and I'm interested to see what this man has for me.
So, let's start from the beginning with the overall beginning of this game. Like, where were you when you first heard about this game?
Oh, jeez. Well, let's see, 2009, 15 years ago. Trying to remember when I actually got it. I think I got it actually in 2010, because I got it for Christmas the same year that I got my Xbox 360. So I had never heard about this game. I knew absolutely nothing about it, but one day I just, by chance, got it for Christmas from my grandma, so it was kind of just pure chance that I got this. I knew nothing about it previously.
Interesting. Me and my family had gotten the 3 when it was nowhere near being new anymore, and we saw the demo for it in the PlayStation Store, and we were like, Batman game demo? That's interesting. And I played that demo religiously because it was so fun. Mm-hmm. And that was just the intro level with the holding cells, that room where you fight Zaz in, and then the room where you take out the 3 thugs that Joker sent in, and then that's it. And from that, I was just excited to play the game, and I was like waiting for it to come out. It was so cool.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of people in my comment section reference that demo, and I'm kind of sad that I never got to experience it, because it seems like something I absolutely would have played religiously before the game actually came out. It seems like the perfect setup to introduce everybody to this game that's coming, and of course would be a landmark game, as we all know.
And I think that for a first attempt at a Batman game, I think Rocksteady did a good job of giving you a combat system that's kind of free flow, and I think relies a bit on button mashing, but it also focuses on how you do it, because if you don't do it right, you end up fumbling and punching the air.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of did the impossible with this game. They created such a beautiful combat system that anybody can do. Like, even a baby just pressing buttons could succeed at this combat system, but like, once you start to understand the small intricacies of it, you realize, holy crap, they put so much into this. You don't even really notice it until you actually start looking deeper into it. It's amazing.
And I think, based on my past experiences with people trying this game out for the first time, they don't rely as much as they should on that counter button, which helps very much with a very easy flowing combo, because even if you're just countering, you're still racking up numbers in your combo, and it helps with not getting hit, thus by breaking your combo, and you can just keep going and not get hit. You could, in theory, not get hit once, which is why they have those challenges in there of see how long you can go without getting hit.
Yeah, and also countering gives you a moment to just slow down and think, because every counterattack will take like 2 or 3 seconds as Batman gets the enemy off of him. That allows you to take a second and survey the rest of the room, plan out what you're going to do next, and it kind of just gives you a moment to breathe during all the absolute chaos that some combat encounters could have with like up to 20 enemies at once.
And even in those situations, when you counter, the AI does back off so that Batman can counter the one guy he's got on him and then go from there. That's why I love freaking out my friends whenever I get to the end of the game where I'm in the visitor center when there's those 20 guys in the hall clapping for
Party
you.
Pooper.
Yeah, and I punch them and I start fighting them and they're like, dude, they're surrounding you. I'm like, I got this.
That is one strange thing that Arkham Asylum kind of fails at compared to the later games is that, like, once you actually start getting good at the combat system, the size of the encounters really doesn't matter, because in Arkham Asylum, only one guy can attack you at once. There will never be more than one enemy trying to attack you, which makes it feel a lot less impactful than you think it should be. Because, like, I just did Party Pooper, like, less than a month ago during one of my challenges, and it really didn't feel all that difficult because, you know, only one guy was attacking me at once, and if I was just jumping around the room, beating everybody up and using combo moves, it really didn't feel all that crazy, you know?
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because I've always wondered why the combat in Arkham Asylum felt easier in that than it did in City or Night or Origins, and I think that's exactly why. It's because no more than one enemy will attack you. I think if they wanted to make Party Pooper just slightly more challenging, they gave some of the inmates those baton sticks, and maybe one or two of them have guns.
Yeah, that specifically is what makes Asylum's combat harder. That and the fact that your health bar is only one singular thing. It doesn't split between ballistic and combat armor like it does in later games. So if you get hit by something, you're just getting hit by it. You're not gonna take X amount of damage from the gun and then still have full combat armor. So if you do get hit, you're getting punished for it really badly.
Yeah. I think the stealth missions in well, the majority of the games in Asylum, they have this weird like kind of this atmosphere to it, because you are in this facility, not so much alone, but by yourself in your own, like on your own side, fighting everybody, and it kind of gives you that feeling of being alone in a hospital by yourself. It's this weird, creepy, dystopian kind of feeling, especially with the music. It adds to the atmosphere when you're sneaking around. And the stealth missions where you have to take out guys silently are easily my favorite parts of Asylum.
Yeah, Asylum is... It's always weird to go back to, especially after Night, where you can just go absolutely ham and not have to worry about anything. Because even on the lower difficulties, Asylum's Predator sections are really hard because you have so few tools, and just in general in Asylum, you move so slowly. Like, if you just look at grappling between vantage points in Asylum compared to just, like, City, it's ridiculously slow, so it makes escape even harder than it would already be, which is already pretty hard.
Yeah. I also noticed in Asylum, I don't think any other game does this, although I could be wrong. In certain grapple situations, it forces you to take the camera perspective to be from where you're going to and see Batman from a distance rather than watch Batman get there.
Yeah, I've seen that a couple of times, but I'm not sure what activates it.
I think it's mostly just the gargoyles. And I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think Asylum is the only game that does it.
It sounds right, but I'm not entirely sure.
So another thing is that, like, this game obviously takes a lot of inspiration from past Batman properties because it references things that may or may not have happened in other continuities, and straight up has some actors from the animated series like Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, and Arlene Sorkin.
Yep.
I think that, like, I never saw this as, like, you know, same universe as the animated series. I kind of saw it more as the animated series Extreme Edition.
That's a pretty good way to put it, because this feels like a love letter to the people who grew up with the animated series, both with the actors who played the iconic characters and just from the general storylines and Easter eggs, specifically referencing events from the animated series.
it feels like, kind of feels like everything that is Batman is kind of rolled into this game, excluding, I think, I mean, I don't see anything from Adam West's Batman in this game, but it feels like a lot of elements of Batman from various places were put into this game, and like, I think it works because it's not distinguishably one thing or another, it's just this game.
Yeah, it's basically made as its own standalone game, which is kind of crazy to think about with how the series has progressed, but Arkham Asylum just could have been its own thing, and like, if it didn't succeed, it could have been the only thing, and it would have been perfectly fine standing alone just as a general love letter to Batman.
Yeah, I think even if it had failed, it would have been an interesting benchmark in history to see, like, oh, this game that came out of Batman that didn't go anywhere further, but look at this, it's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, one thing I think the game itself could have improved on a little bit is its bosses.
Oh yeah, we all know that.
I feel like a majority of the bosses are some variation of a Titan fight, excluding Poison Ivy or Croc.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've gone over this multiple times in a bunch of videos because it is just kind of the big thing that Arkham Asylum did wrong. I swear I heard this somewhere, but now since so many people are coming out against it, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm fairly certain that Asylum's bosses were last-minute additions. And when you look at them, it makes perfect sense. Like, these are not intricately designed fights that were intended to be there. Except, of course, for Scarecrow and Croc. And those make sense because those aren't really boss fights, they're levels. So you can't really categorize them in the same area as you would the Titans, Bane, Ivy, and Titan Joker, you know?
Right. Especially since, like, because I mean, one could make the argument that you sort of fight Croc in that you blow the hole and then he falls through and you throw a batarang to hit his collar, but I don't know if I'd call that fighting. I mean, you don't really even touch Scarecrow during his level, so yeah, those don't even seem like boss fights. Mm-hmm. At least you attack Ivy.
Yeah, like, we all call them bosses because they're, you know, unique encounters with the villains. Like, the same thing with Mad Hatter in Arkham Origins, or, to an extent, the finale sequence of Arkham Knight. They aren't really boss fights because you aren't really fighting the threat at hand, but you're playing through a unique sequence that you wouldn't otherwise do at any other point in the game. So it makes them stand out and makes us consider them bosses, even though in actuality they aren't.
I'm curious about your opinion about this, because if you were to ask me, I think the most interesting fight in Arkham Asylum is the Bane fight, because while it is close to a Titan fight, I think it's interesting because he not only charges at you, but he also pulls chunks out of the wall and throws them at you.
Yeah, so Bane is in a weird spot because on the surface, he looks different from the rest of the Titans, but when you actually take a second and analyze the mechanics, they're just identical to the Titans. So yes, he charges, which is the same as the rest of the Titans, and ripping off the wall is supposedly unique, but the Titans do the same thing by picking up bodies off the ground to throw at you, because every Titan encounter has random background bodies that they'll pick up and throw, so it is exactly the same. The only truly unique mechanic that Bane has is that he can heal between attacks. So, and the Titans, they never do that except if you don't attack them to progress them to the next phase. So that is technically a unique mechanic, but in the end, Bane really is just another Titan.
I actually never knew that about Bane. I didn't know he healed.
It's pretty rare. It only really happens if you go for a long period of time without damaging him. So that's really only possible on, like, late phases on hard difficulty, because then he'll start charging a lot less. He'll do other attacks, which then obviously you're not going to be damaging him during that time, so he'll decide, oh, okay, you haven't hurt me, I'm going to heal up.
Another thing that this game kind of introduces, which becomes an Arkham staple, is the Riddler trophies.
Oh yeah, we all know and love those.
I will say at first I absolutely hated those because of how difficult they were to find, and I mean, mind you, when this game came out I was 12, but I've grown to appreciate just how hidden they are. Like, I look at some of these when they're hidden, when I finally find them, I think, okay, that takes a level of like these developers knew very well how to hide these, and only someone who looks real closely would be able to find them. I found great pride in that.
Yeah, personally, when I was playing the game growing up, I could never find all the trophies. I never went out of my way to go for them. I actually didn't beat Riddler for the first time until probably like 3 or 4 years ago, when I was actually doing YouTube stuff. So I was kind of a late addition to that, and it's been a while since I've done it again, so I really don't remember too many trophy locations, at least off the top of my head. But the ones that I do were definitely very well hidden, and that's one thing that Asylum has over the later games, is that even though a lot of the puzzles to find the trophies in later games are a lot more fun, like especially in Arkham Knight, where you really have to think to get some of these trophies, in Asylum it's less thinking and more just exploring and finding, which really suits the game in question, you know?
And I think in Asylum it's different about what counts as a Riddler challenge, because in Asylum you had the interview tapes and the Joker teeth that were strewed about in the game, which all counted towards that tally. And I only recently found all the Riddler trophies for the first time, like last month on Asylum.
Oh wow!
And so, and you mentioned it earlier, the final boss fight with Joker. I've seen that get a lot of criticism on the internet.
Understandably so.
I see why, because it's not like a perfect fight with the Joker.
Yeah, like at a baseline glance, it works if you just take the Titan out of Joker. Like, it's a fight where Joker's standing back and laughing as his goons do all the work, and he throws in some fun surprises like weapons and exploding teeth. That's fun. But they have this giant monster who does literally nothing.
I feel like, I mean, I don't think if Batman had went Titan 2 that would have worked. I feel like that would have been a little weird.
Yeah.
I think if you fought him, and I mean like actually like fist to fist, that would have justified him being a behemoth a little bit. But you dodge him, then he sends his goons in, and then you pull him down with the bat claw and repeat that formula until he falls through the floorboard. I feel like if he were normal Joker, that would be justified, but he's huge just cuz.
Yeah, and if you look at the concept art for Arkham Asylum, there's one of a slightly different Titan Joker that looks less like the behemoth that the rest of the Titans do, and instead seems more lanky and stealth-like. So I and a lot of other people kind of assumed that, oh, okay, that means the original idea for Titan Joker could have played out like a stealth boss, where he's like climbing walls and slinking in the shadows, doing an inverse of what you've been doing the entire game. And if that's the case, that would have been really, really fun, and honestly a much better fight than what we got.
That actually does sound awesome.
Yeah, just look up the Titan Joker concept art and you'll probably get the same general idea that the rest of us have.
I'll have to look into that, and if I can find anything, I'll put it in the video. And I think that, like, I think it's hilarious when people are like point at a game now retrospectively and go, "Oh, set up for the sequel." I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, the hope was that they were going to make more games after this, and I don't know why people look at sequel baiting as a derogatory thing.
And honestly, like, the only sequel bait they really did was Croc, Bane, or Scarecrow reaching out of the water in the end credits, and even then, that's less sequel baiting at just a glance, and feels more like, oh, okay, these characters are all still alive, they're fine, you don't have to worry about them. And also, like, possibly, like, imminent danger. Like, obviously, Bane was a huge threat when he fought him, because Batman said, like, that's the strongest Bane has ever been. Scarecrow obviously has been a complete nuisance throughout the entire game, so seeing him reach out, especially after getting mauled by Croc, would be pretty scary. And then Croc, obviously, he just went down a sewer pipe, so makes sense to show him alive too.
Right. I guess, like, a lot of the Easter eggs they put in this game that doubled over as Riddler trophies or Riddler challenges looked to me as if, like, they were planting seeds for other games, because a lot of the things that are Riddler trophies ended up being references to characters you see in later games, like Catwoman, Penguin, Two-Face. So I always thought that was Rocksteady being like, oh, if we keep this up, we might see these guys. And there's also that secret room in the one part of the asylum, which I only recently found out about. I didn't know that was there.
Really?
Yeah. Your videos is what tipped me off to that.
Well, okay then. That's kind of interesting, because like that room was kind of all over the internet. Like, practically everybody was talking about how nobody was able to find this room. So Rocksteady had to come out and say, hey, you guys know how Arkham City's coming out? Well, here you go. Here's this hint that we've had here the entire time, and nobody knew about it.
I still am very curious as to what that was supposed to mean with the whole Amadeus Arkham things, because I had collected all of them, and I still don't know how to feel about the tie-in with Quincy Sharp and all that. That was weird to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. I've never really looked too deep into it. Like, all that I really gather is that, oh, Sharp is insane. Okay, that's really kind of all there is to it, and that's really all that matters, because Sharp is just, in general, such an inconsequential character. Like, all that he does is claim that he's Amadeus Arkham and put, not Sharp, Strange in power in Arkham City. And, like, we kind of just find that out secondhand. You know, like, in theory, he's a very important character, but when we actually look at him in the games, he really doesn't matter all that much.
Yeah, when that happened, I wondered what he was supposed to do later on. Like, if Rocksteady had any other future plans for him in Arkham City that didn't come into fruition.
And then, worst of all, is that, like, you don't even get a proper send-off for him. Like, he even shows up in Arkham Origins in the interview tapes, but then by the time we get to Arkham Knight, it's revealed that, oh, he died off screen. Which is, like, really kind of a cop-out ending for him, for this supposedly really important character who kind of kick-started everything into motion.
Yeah. I mean, his name was one of the first lines of dialogue, and, like, you'd think, like, someone who's, like, at the forefront of the game, you'd think would carry over, especially when you reveal something like he thinks he's Amadeus Arkham's spirit or something. That's a big reveal.
Yeah.
But I do love the interview tapes throughout all the games, especially in Asylum, because they feel like not consequential to the plot, but just if you're not familiar with any of the characters. Like, I wasn't familiar with Zsasz before playing this game, so those tapes really helped me get like a feel for them. Yeah,
same. Like, I knew most of the characters from, like, Lego Batman, but then ones like Zsasz and honestly, to an extent, like Scarecrow, who I really only saw in Batman Begins, but that was, even then, that was years ago. Like, the interview tapes definitely simultaneously introduce the characters to a new audience, but also just give returning viewers who know everything about them just some fun dialogue to listen to that they don't really get anywhere else.
Yeah. A lot of those characters I'd also seen from like past thing, like you said, Scarecrow in Batman Begins, or just watching the animated series that came out before it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's everything. I'm curious though. On a scale with the Arkham games, where would you place this one?
Right now, I have to put it at number 3. Like, worst to best, Night, Asylum, Origins, City. But it's really because of how I play them nowadays. I am honestly not a good source for whether or not a certain one of these games is good, because I play them wrong. Like, I don't play them as the developers intended. I don't sit through the story. I don't play, like, carefully or anything, or engage with every single mechanic. You know, I speedrun these games because I've pretty much been conditioned to at this point. Like, I have to get through these games as fast as possible while I'm doing a challenge or something. So, like, the only reason Asylum is above Night is because I can get through it quickly, and I generally enjoy my time with it. Whereas, like, I don't with Night. But then I still enjoy it slightly less than Origins and City.
That's fair. I've found myself to play games like that sometimes. In fact, there was a time when I played Asylum and City specifically a lot, to the point where I on record can beat City in under 4 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I can beat the main story of City in 2 hours, or I could 100% it in 5. And, like, Asylum I can beat in, like, less than 3 hours. Origins I can beat in, like, less than 4. And, like, you're not supposed to play the games like this. You're supposed to just sit back, enjoy the story, start, learning things.
Yeah.
But, I just don't nowadays, so at this point I'm not a reputable source for, like, ranking these games.
Yeah, I would say that I wouldn't put Asylum. I'd probably put Asylum at number 3 as well, because of a lot of that, and it's still very much a fun game. I still play it every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that does it for this video. Happy 15th anniversary to Arkham Asylum. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Thank you for joining me, Clown Puncher.
Absolutely.